Greetings viewers, Hugh here coming to you from Waterloo Station. And well, we're here today to ride what I think is the most underrated train in London. The Class 458 Carriage Juniper. Let's go. So we're on board the 458 here. We're going to head to Wimbledon, I think. And I'm going to go over to voiceover now to explain the history of these trains, because, surprisingly, it's complicated. So yeah. The Class 458 is a third rail EMU that is part of Alstom's carriage family, and has been running out of London Waterloo since the year 2000. The carriage family is a common platform built by Alstom across many countries, but in the UK there are two main types. The Carriage 1000, which is a family of diesel multiple units, which consists of the Class 175, which last ran with Transport for Wales, and the good-looking but flawed Class 180, that is used by Grand Central. The second type is the Carriage Juniper, which consists of the 458, the Class 460, which used to run with Gatwick Express, and the Class 334, used by ScotRail. But in this video, we're just going to focus on the 458 and 460. In 1996, the Stagecoach Group won the bid for the South Western franchise, as part of the privatisation of British Rail. At the time, most of the commuter services out of Waterloo were operated by Mark I based EMUs, like the Class 411, 421 and 423, with later Mark III based 455s bringing up the rear. The new South West trains wanted new rolling stock immediately for this busy sector. This led to them placing an order for a fleet of 30 Class 458/0 Juniper units from Alstom, which had recently acquired the former coach builder Metro Camel, makers of nearly all London Underground stock and trains like the 156 and 465/9. These new units were among the last to be assembled at the company's Washwood Heath plant in Birmingham, alongside the first batch of Class 390s. The Class 458/0 entered service in February 2000. However, to begin with, the units were flawed, with constant electrical issues and even water leakage issues. Also, they featured a rather complex and, in my opinion, ugly gangway design. These problems with the Juniper units ultimately influenced South West Trains into ordering new Class 450 and 444-0s from Siemens in 2001 to replace the old Mark I EMUs. At the same time, a slightly improved version of the 458, designated as Class 460, was delivered to Gatwick Express to replace its old fleet of Class 73s with 448 trailers. Eventually, by 2005, South West Trains had made plans to retire the 458/0s due to their severe unreliability, and with Class 450s, 444s and 442s being the backbone of the operator's long-range services. However, at the last minute, they decided to retain the 458/0s, resulting in an oversupply of units, which eventually led to the Class 442s being left as spare. Gatwick Express eventually decided to take on the 442s to run its services, leaving the 460s back with the leasing company. South West Trains decided to merge the 460s with the mechanically similar 458/0 to create a new suburban train known as the Class 458/5. Following the withdrawal of the 460 from Gatwick Express in 2012, the conversion process began, which resulted in significant changes to the entire fleet. The cab front was completely redesigned with a new end gangway, replacing the impractical old one. The interior of the 458/0 coaches was converted from a 3x2 in standard class to 2x2, in order to match the existing 460 coaches. All units were 5 cars long, which resulted in the 460 units being split up into different units, and with the previously 4-car 458/0 units having one 460 carriage inserted per set. The units were also repainted into a new livery, to match the Class 450 units. The first 458/5 entered service in March 2014, with the last 458/0 running in November 2015, and the full conversion being completed by March 2016. However, a year later, Stagecoach lost the South West franchise to a joint bid by First Group and MTR, creating the new South Western Railway. As part of the franchise commitment, they intended to replace the existing fleet of Class 455, 456, 458 and 707 trains with new Class 701 Adventurers from Bombardier. However, due to the strong after effects of COVID, SWR made the decision to retire the Class 442, which had been brought back from Gatwick Express following their replacement by Class 387s instead of the 458. This meant that the 458 would be retained but converted to a long-distance configuration and run alongside the Class 444s on longer express services. These new trains are dubbed Class 458/4 and began testing in October 2023. So, with the 701 entering service last month, I thought it was time we went for a ride on the Class 458/5 before it leaves the commuter lines. So join me as we go for a ride on the Class 458.
This train is for Hampton Court.
So we're on our way, just left Waterloo, and I should point out I am in a 458/0 carriage. The best way to tell? Shape of the door windows. They're much longer on here compared to an X 460 carriage. Seats are just about the same, and the thing I really love about these trains is just how nice and soft the seats are. It's just really, really good. And it's going to be a shame. I think the new 458/4s are going to have different seats put in for longer distance, but so yeah, it's going to be sad to lose these. So definitely come and ride one of these to have these seats while you can, but these are certainly the best seats of any older style commuter train in the city. These seats do also come equipped with tray tables, which is quite nice, especially considering these do normally do the longer commuter journeys like the Reading service, so that's quite nice. No armrests in this specific kind of carriage, but I'll explain that in a minute. We're at Vauxhall. Also, one of the best features of the 458/0 carriages is that you have declassified first class. I say declassified, it's not used for first class fares anymore, but you get X first class, which is fantastic. I don't believe the 460 driver coaches have them, so yeah, this is very, very nice. Also, in a rare feature for a train of this age, the first class seats do actually have power outlets. They don't have them in standard class, I believe. Okay, so I think I've shown you most of the features of a 458/0 carriage/train, as I'm in right now. We're coming up to Wimbledon, and there I'm going to try and see if I can show you the Gatwick Express 460 carriages. While they're similar, because, you know, they were made by the same company, same factory, just a couple of years apart, there are some small differences that I would like to point out. But yeah, I hope you see why these are really nice. Oh, there's an express sprinter going by, but I do really, really like these trains. It's just going to be sad that they're not going to be running these commuter diagrams anymore, but the 701s are decent units, so, you know. Wimbledon. At Wimbledon, and don't think there's going to be a 458 coming back up into London for quite a bit, so I'm just going to be getting a different train, as you can see right there, back to Clapham, and we're going to try and find a fully X460 458 unit, because the one I was just on there was a 458/0 with two Class 460 coaches inserted in. But let's see if we can find an actual X Gatwick Express unit. Anyway, let's get on this thing. Left Wimbledon, we're heading towards Earlsfield, and we're going to be passing Wimbledon Park Depot, where apparently there might be some converted 458s sitting there. I don't know, I've looked a couple of times in the past and I haven't seen them, but let's have a look to see some future 458s.
2,000 years later.
Okay, so it's about half an hour later, and it's been a mess because there's a lot of disruption out of Waterloo due to signalling problems, so I'm on a different train now, but we're heading into Waterloo, and hopefully there will be a X460 unit in there that we can quickly have a look at. It's been a mess to film this, but we should find it.
Later.
That was a long search, but we finally found a 460 458. Let's get on board. So at first glance, the first major thing you'll notice about a 460 carriage is that the door windows are smaller and the colour of the seat backs is different. One thing I forgot to show on the previous 458 and in our SWR fleet review, which was quite surprising, is the 458's toilet. Let's amend that now. So it appears that the accessible toilet back there is out of order, as it said it was engaged, but the open button was lit up, so I think it was broken. So we'll just use the manual one. It's a basic toilet, really. It's very, very airline-like. Yeah. It's alright. I'm sitting in the same place where the declassified first cabin was in the 458/0 carriage, but it's just got standard seats because I believe Gatwick Express had its own unique first class on the 460, so the only major difference is a bigger table and armrests, and that's about it. So unfortunately, if you're running a 460 train, no X first class for you. Well, other than that, there's not really that much else different from the other 458/0 carriages. So I think I've said enough about this train. I do really, really like it. I think it's absolutely fantastic, but do go for a ride on it very, very soon, because they're being converted into longer distance trains, and on the 458/0 units at least, the 460 carriages, which you can tell by the different window frames, are going to be removed to make them 4 cars again. So definitely go for a ride on them while you can. So I'm outside Clapham Junction Station. I really like the 458. It's a fantastic train. Shame that, you know, in its current fashion as a commuter train, it's not going to be around much longer. So definitely give it a ride. Give it a ride more than the 455, I think. So yeah, really nice train, 458. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video. Bye-bye, and go Niners.